call to order the Planning Commission regular session, Cape Charles Civic Center, 500 Casville Avenue, September 3rd, 2019. Roll call.
Rosen present.
McCoy present.
Drew present.
Salvador present. D'Amico president.
Holloway present.
We have a quorum. Can we stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance? Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any public comments? Do we have any written comments? Consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda format?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes. So, the only thing that I see that didn't happen is that there was a motion made, seconded, and carried that we were supposed to have a public hearing for this meeting. So, for the two definitions. So that didn't happen. So
Yeah.
I guess we would have to have it at the next meeting, right? Are there any corrections, comments?
I move that we accept the meeting minutes as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Reports. We had the Historic District Review Board, Town Planner did a good job on that. Items of interest, Bayside Water Trail, so that's going to happen. Cape Charles be part of that on the Bayside?
Yeah.
Great. And you are the chair of the Eastern Shore Walkable Communities Committee. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And I also see that you're taking this new urbanism accreditation program. Very nice. Anybody have any comments on the reports discussion?
Bill, I just had one, as I was reading through the, I guess it's combined usage, or what's it called? It's the house that's all grown on Park Road. I noticed that the language in it was talking about first floor being garage, and I think the top being, but they're included in the paragraph actually said with the property backed up to Mason Avenue. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, that's
something.
we're going to get to that. Yeah, I think that was a mistake from a previous thing.
Okay.
It was just kind of.
If you could check it, because I was like, this is confusing.
Yeah.
I think because the picture indicated it's all.
You're right. I saw that. I think that was based on the one that was at the corner of Fig and Randolph.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the kind of.
Okay.
That was
No
the
problem.
That's the next thing.
All right. No other discussion on reports? Okay, so unfinished business, 5A. Proposed text amendments to the zoning ordinance, Article 4, Section 4.5 and 4.6 review.
All right. So it's the same A through F are so close to being done. That's only the first half of the whole ordinance, but it's a big chunk. So again, I think Jim was only here for one of them, so just a brief overview. We're going to review each subsection in order, discuss the regulation, form a consensus on any recommended changes, then proceed to the next regulation. If the consensus is not able to be reached, we'll table that regulation for further review, and then review definitions as they come up for each subsection. So the little star is a proposed definition for that word on the following slide, like single-family residential, detached, or something like that. Red was proposed definitions and changes by staff, and then green is recommended changes from the last time we had discussed, which was in June. That was already agreed, the consensus kind of came to. So general requirements, these were two changes that were identified by Planning Commission that were already discussed. So no non-single family residential, detached residential, and then any repairs deemed an emergency by the zoning administrator is exempt from this requirement. So we discussed that pretty lengthy and agreed to that. We already got through minimum parking spaces required. We're on the table. So this was a definition that we agreed upon. We call it, guest room. If you have any questions on that, let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep going.
Since you have it in the back, actually, let's see. I do. Under extended stay, you put something about kitchen facilities, but then under guest room, you included extended stay but did not put kitchen facilities.
Well, you don't have to have it, and a guest room you don't have to have.
But a guest room is, he put here, but it's an extended stay under guest room. So if it's extended stay under guest room, and then you go to the definition of extended stay, it includes
It says or extended
Kitchen.
stay. So it includes motel, hotel, boarding house.
or extended,
stay.
yes, right.
So what's your question?
Well, my point is, if you are looking to see what you're allowed to have here, and you're going, oh, I can have an extended stay, so you go up to look at the definition of what an extended stay is, it says that it has kitchen facilities, refrigerator, stoves, ovens. Well, here, the only thing you have is living, sleeping, sanitary, and storage facilities under guest room.
Which also could include a kitchen, and an extended stay hotel.
Living, sleeping, sanitary, and storage facilities includes a kitchen.
I see where you're coming from. I mean, you could put, a guest room could have a kitchen facility. It could,
Or it could not.
or it could not.
Exactly.
So you could say, because there are hotels.
It says, and contain kitchen facilities under extended stay.
That's for if you were coming forward as a land use for an extended stay hotel and motel, then you would have to meet what it says under extended stay hotel and motel. In an extended stay hotel or motel, you would have guest rooms, obviously. Or if it was not an extended stay hotel or motel, just a regular hotel, you would still have guest rooms. So this is defining guest room in both extended stay and non-extended stay. That's why it keeps out the kitchen portion. Because you're not going to have that in a normal hotel room. It's not.
But I don't
relative
think that's what that
residential.
says.
Well, it does, just because you don't put down a kitchen, does extended stay have to say about a kitchen facility?
Yeah, it says, and contain kitchen facilities for food preparation.
But,
Okay, so then you go down to guest room, which says, a guest room is in an extended stay, so that would mean if it's in an extended stay, it would have
right,
kitchen facilities. But a guest room does not have kitchen facilities according to the definition of guest room.
it's apples.
It
is not, I know this is hard for you, but it's really important that the wording be absolutely right.
Well, then put in something that says with kitchen or without kitchen. I mean,
Well, let's
that's the
just,
only way, because you have guest rooms in, what do you call a room in an extended stay? A guest room.
Yes,
So then you have to put something in there that says a guest room can have, or use, or it may have, or put down
Hang on.
extended stay with kitchen facility.
Why do we care? Let's start with that. Why do we care? Explain.
about which,
Why do we have to specify that just even mention kitchen facilities? I'm trying to figure out what the value of this conversation is, that's all.
Because it's in extended stay.
So,
So if it's an extended stay, why does it need to be here? Because it's extended stays in here?
Take extended stay out.
yeah, why can't we take extended stay out of guest room?
if you read extended stay, hotel or motel, any building containing 6 or more guest rooms and containing kitchen facilities for food preparation. So
Right.
it already deals with the food preparation and kitchen facilities
Right.
within the extended stay
Right,
definition. So you can have a guest room, you can have a dwelling unit that also has, yeah, I don't quite
So-
understand why you're asking.
Okay, she's, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Understand. It sounds like what you're wanting to have happen is all the possible services specific to extended stay be included in guest room. Correct?
say that again?
It sounds like what you want to do is have all the available services of extended stay included in guest room.
No, that's not what I want. I like guest room the way it is without saying extended stay, or if you put extended stay on there, some kind of wording that says with extended stay which allows kitchen facilities.
Oh, okay, then,
That's all.
okay, can you put a parenthesis, includes kitchen facilities?
do we define what extended stay is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
What is
You
it?
just read it.
And then, is there a length of time?
no,
Well, a lot of extended stay places, have a weekly rate. Okay? they normally have a weekly rate. Like there is a place called Extended Stay Motel, right? And you can get it for a week and you get a really good rate,
what is your point?
He's in the business.
I am, and I have had, I don't know.
But you're not, but you're basically within within that definition, you are.
So does a bed and breakfast have a guest room?
Yes. It has many guest rooms that don't include it's a kitchen within each guest room.
Right.
They have a group kitchen.
So does that come under the definition of hotel, motel, boarding house?
Possibly, I'd have to read that one, but it does not fall under the same hotel.
We probably ought to put B&B in there since we have it.
I believe there's already a definition for B&B in our current ordinance, that's why I didn't add it in this.
Okay. Have it. I'm just saying, if you're giving a definition of guest room, and you say there's a guest room and a bed and breakfast, let's just include it. Let's just say then a hotel, motel, B&B, boarding house, or extended stay having kitchen facilities.
I think it's redundant, that will be whatever y'all feel is best.
Is it better to be, and I'm asking this, is it better to be redundant or to leave something up in the air question?
Well, I just think that just think that, like, I really think that with these kind of ordinance updates, it's really one of those things where if it's not like a glaring issue, I mean, this is why this has taken 6 months to get through, and we're only halfway through parking regulations, is, you know, if it's not something that's gonna be a deal breaker for someone, then it's gonna really take a lot of time to get through these ordinance updates. Like, okay, so, to me it's very clear, any building containing 6 or more guest rooms. What is a guest room? A guest room is an accommodation combining living, sleeping, sanitary storage facilities, so within a hotel, motel, boarding house, or extended stay, right? Check. Intended or designed to be used or which are used, rented or hired out to be occupied or which are occupied for sleeping purposes for guests and contain kitchen facilities for food preparation. So it has guest rooms, but then an extended stay also has kitchen utilities for each specific guest room. So that to me is pretty clear in implementing that. But yeah.
Is it clear to you? I mean, when you're looking at the block and in the business,
We've had 30-day guests. They don't have a kitchen.
It's nothing,
That's
it
an
has nothing
extended
to
stay
do.
guest in my book.
yeah.
Most guests are up to 7 days, but when you get a 30-day or 35-day reservation, it's an extended stay guest. But
Administratively, it's an extended stay for you, but
Yeah.
land use wise, this would not.
it's treated just like any other guest room.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but it'd fall under bed and breakfast, and you don't have any, there's no limitations within the ordinance as to how long or how minimum people need to stay at your extended stay, hotel or motel, or your Airbnb, or your hotel. Someone can rent a hotel room that isn't an extended stay, as long as they're paying monthly, weekly, whatever, they can keep doing it. Or someone can stay in a guest room in an extended stay that has a kitchen for a day, and never use the kitchen. I've done that many times. So it really doesn't matter about how long you stay, it's just the way that it's built initially is what we're looking at here, the land use.
These regulations are basically to manage risk, both for the business owner and for the town. What risk do we have if we don't mention in that definition, kitchen? I would suggest to you it's
In
zero.
the guest room, if we don't manage?
Well, if extended stay doesn't say in parentheses, could include kitchen facilities, may include kitchen facilities. What risk are we managing?
I think it's perfectly, it's stated perfectly.
Well, we can go to
Yeah, I mean, I think that Zach is right. We're kind of losing focus here. This is, I mean, we're talking about parking here, and so, so it's just, you know, I mean, it's I don't really care. I mean, if you want to put in parentheses, may include kitchen facilities. Let us go with it. I mean, like you said, we spent 6 months, and we're not even halfway through here. So, I mean, we agreed on this the last time, that's why it's in green. So, let's go. Let's go ahead and put that in parentheses. Let's go on. We got a lot of cover here. If we're here till 10 o'clock tonight, so be it. Let's go.
All right, sales and rental of living space and goods, that was Dennis, you brought that up, because we had changed, we had put something under sales and rental, I think it was like it was, what was it? Let's see. So this has to do with the table, parking table. We moved, instead of, so it was like, hotels, motels, and similar uses was under this, and so then I added living space into it, 'cause it's not necessarily good that it's a living space.
Where exactly are we?
451B.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, under the table again, we had a big discussion on recreation and how we kind of talked about the amount of parking that would be required was kind of crazy. So I did some calculations and changed that one space per 200 to one space per 2,000. So it was initially 20 spaces at the 6-4 meeting prior to us even mentioning it. It was like, you know, playground has to have 20 spaces, etc. And then we changed it, then I changed it to one space per 200 square feet at the 7-2 meeting because we had discussed we'll probably need more parking, or, you know, it might need to be done by square foot, or by the square footage of the use. But the 20 spaces, we did like a 2-acre amount, and it was like 400 spaces. It was just kind of crazy. So one space per 2,000 square feet of surface area for parks, playgrounds, and/or swimming pools, plus 2 spaces per tennis court, plus 1 space per 500 square feet of recreational facility. So if you have 1 space per 2,000 square feet of park, so there, 1 acre.
We have these 22 spaces, right?
Yeah, you're right.
1 acre was 22 spaces.
Yeah, so 1 acre would be 22 spaces, which is way more realistic.
Right.
So I changed it to 2,000. If y'all agree with that, or this is a change that I did that we haven't come to.
Otherwise, you get more parking than you have park.
Exactly. We'd be, yeah,
Yeah.
2-acre park with a
Yeah,
3-acre
I'm
park.
okay with this.
Continue forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so me and Paul are going to work on this. The shared parking, we haven't discussed it yet. Bicycle parking, we discussed this last time. Developments of new primary buildings, that was a thing that we had to add in there. Other than single-family residential. So basically everything other than single-family residential, which still includes like a condo, or like a apartment complex, something like that. Or sorry, not apartment complex, it would be like a duplex or something like that, wouldn't require this. But something like an apartment complex would, because that's multi-family residential. Shall provide bicycle parking spaces at a ratio of at least 1 parking space, bicycle parking space for every 20 automobile parking spaces.
So I hear you on that, but the stuff that's in the red there, I read this about 6 times and said, you're talking about 3 spaces per 20 automobile spaces. And then, but that's, you're exempt from that if your rack, you have 3 or more bicycle parking racks, which probably have more, a rack has more than 1 space.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I said, does he mean racks or does he mean spaces?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I would say spaces is what it should say rather than racks. I was thinking of a rack as if it was like you know, just a U.
Right. Oh, you mean for a single? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was confused. So if I'm
Let's
confused,
change it to spaces, I think.
It was clear.
We have, yeah.
At least
Uh,
1 parking space.
On that red part, if 3 or more bicycle parking racks are located within 100 feet, that's what you're talking about.
yeah, yeah.
We gotta change that to spaces.
Yeah.
Spaces, yes.
I mean, we're talking about having 3 spaces up above,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
you're trying to be, this one's exempting. I said, well, I hear what you're saying, but you know,
So this would be like, yeah, if you're on Mason Ave, or I guess we'll just use Mason Avenue, and you have a new building going up, which is very unlikely, but now 100 feet, if you have a bicycle rack, or bicycle spaces, 3 spaces on the same frontage, on the same side of the street, within 100 feet, then you don't have to provide one. So that way you don't get all this
Right.
bike parking. So we're good on that?
Yep.
Okay, hang on a second. We have one buildable lot currently on Mason Avenue that maybe at best holds room enough for one parking space.
On that little one.
Yes, is that, well, it's there.
Yeah. Well, that, Mason was probably a bad choice because that's just a unique situation because also there's that shared parking. You don't have to provide parking.
Right.
Okay, so but you got something in the plans of a new establishment going up on Stone Road, right?
Yeah.
And they have parking spaces. Now, they don't mean I have 20 spaces.
Yeah, they have 10 spaces.
Okay, so
14
so that's not required.
At least one for every 20. Yeah, you're right. So it'd be under that threshold. But we could, they actually are providing bicycle parking, which is great. But, yeah.
All right.
Well, is that something that we want to visit?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we're good?
Yep.
All right. Golf cart parking. Took out these two items here after discussion. Not allow reduction of car parking spaces if providing golf cart parking. So that was it for the golf cart parking. Electric vehicle charging stations. So, owner of the property shall be responsible for the installation, maintenance, and operation of vehicle charging stations. The owner of the property may determine whether or not a fee is associated with the electric vehicle charging station. So I actually looked this up, and the amount that it takes, it's like 73 cents for an hour of charging. So it's like really not even significant to where people more than likely wouldn't require a fee. But it's their choice, yeah. Drive-through establishment, restaurants, I think we just combined establishment and restaurants because it was two separate things, so I think we combined those. And that is it. That's all we got for the first half. So the next part is going to be shared parking, G through F, so that's going to be just a whole new thing, and we'll come out with all that information, but yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Good. Thank you. Any other unfinished business? New business. Item 6A, proposed zoning map amendment to the historic harbor area overlay district. Proposed text amendments to the zoning ordinance. Article 2, Section 2.9, Article 3, Section 3.9, and Section 3.12, and Appendix A, Section 5.6. So as I'm scrolling here, we met for our discussion at the last meeting. The Harbor Committee convened on the 19th of August. So everybody was present except Nick Hall, because he was on his way back from New England. So basically, it was agreed that what was written is good. If somebody wants to develop property in the harbor, they have a couple of ways to do it. They can go by what we have proposed in the harbor district ordinance, the changes, or they can say, I've got 40 acres here, I'd like to do a PUD. And and then at the PUD, they can do residential, in that PUD, except for the Main Street mixed-use area, which we've said is mixed use. So in reality, the harbor committee said, we think everything we have is good, right?
And this change to 5 contiguous acres for a PUD, that was okay?
Yeah.
Well, the question there, we picked 5 that sound reasonable. It comes in, the developer may find 4.8, whatever he gets. So I'm saying there was no scientific number that supported 5.
Well, there are a lot of, if you go and look at a lot of zoning ordinances, they have
5
5
is a good number, but that's where.
I mean, I think you'd want enough space to provide flexibility.
And, you know, there were some great folks on that harbor committee. Again, there were 2 town council, there were two people from the Harbor Area Review Board, the chairman and another, and there were 2 from the planning commission. And we all, I mean, we met numerous times. We had a public hearing. We had one comment, it's read into the minutes. So the question is we still have to do a public hearing for the definitions, correct?
Those were included
Huh?
in the public
That's
hearing.
what I thought. So why do we have to have a public hearing?
Those are the BZA.
Oh,
the hardship
okay,
variance,
I'm
those-
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, got it. So, and staff recommends that the planning commission recommend approval of the proposed text amendment to the town council as presented.
I would, just on your earlier comment, does it not make sense, and this is up for discussion, does it not make sense, based on your comment in particular, to give the town the leeway as it sees fit, based on the application, to accept and approve a slightly smaller plot of land to qualify as a PUD?
Well, I'd ask the question, and I'm not sure.
Right.
Would that require, if this was in place, would that require a variance? And it goes through the variance motions there.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have a mechanism, I think.
Okay, perfect.
So, are we talking about, I'm trying to figure out anything that would be under 5 acres, okay? Other than if they want to sell off portions of the harbor, okay?
Yeah, right.
But they're going to have this document, so, I mean, hey,
Yeah, no, I mean,
now
that's-
the property on Mason, that's greater, that one piece is greater than 5 acres, right?
I think it's 7 acres.
7, it was like 9 acres total?
I think it's 7.
And the one, you got 1.3 acres for sale, and then, but the rest of that is greater than 5, right?
Yes.
And for Diane, you know, we defined, I told him to make sure we defined the map. You
Yes.
saw that.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's good. I also asked him to make sure he puts the trail in there, because, you know, there was some concern about the trail. But hey, you know, that trail has been a part of this town since the first day, and it goes along where we said it was going to go. So, you know, hey. So, I think the only other concern was the green space, the open space, but with all of the wetlands that are over there, you know, some of the, there's a percentage of the wetlands that can be used as open space.
I think 33 comes to mind, but I don't know exactly what that is.
33% of wetlands can be used as open space. So, think we answered your questions with that. Are there any other questions on this? I mean, we asked what, we did what the mayor asked, and of course, all we're doing is going to say that this goes forward to the town council, and they can do whatever they want. They can send it right back to us and say, you know, revisit or something, but, you know, they've got two members of town council that are on there. So,
And we have a public meeting as a result of that at town council too.
yeah, I don't know, is there a public meeting scheduled?
It's
No.
gonna go for informational and then.
At the end, so it's not going, so it would not happen, the public hearing wouldn't happen until October?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so from us, we need to recommend to town council, they're ready to go. So I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed text amendments as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. So, any discussion, further discussion?
Why are you fighting at me?
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to ask the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. So, next item is 6B, comprehensive plan update. Let me get to it for a second. So at the last meeting, there were a couple of things that came out from the comp plan. One was that we looked at doing a survey, and we talked about outlets, all right? So every one of you should have received my spreadsheet with about 8 towns with outlines. And you know, when I was typing all that stuff in, and I had to type a lot of that because I could not copy and paste that stuff, okay? So I looked at, there's a lot of good stuff in all of this. There's good stuff, all right? So, and that is one of basically our deliverables, if you will, first part. And the other one was the survey. Sandra met with some local people here, and she has come up with a draft survey. So Sandra, why don't you talk about that?
So I met with a group of people and we worked from our, we worked from the plan kickoff workshop, which is, you know, everybody was included in it.
Right.
And we came up with all of the questions that I have here. And my thought is that I would like you all to take it home, look at it, and then email back to either Bill or I your thoughts. I do not want to discuss it tonight. I think it's best that we go over it
Yeah.
and then have your input too. We've had many people have an input on it, and I think this is the best way to handle it.
Have you looked at any other comp plan surveys that are available through the web?
Yes, we did.
You did, okay, good.
And they're all basically the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
You
Absolutely.
annotated on a hard copy and back to you?
You can put it on a hard copy or, you know, send it back, email it back to Tracy or to one of us.
Or you could send it to everybody, so everybody has, and we're all talking. So however you want to do it.
Well, I don't want to.
Not Tracy,
Not Tracy.
not Tracy.
No,
I'm
no,
talking
no,
about
no.
Mr. Commissioner.
We cannot,
Oh, that's right, you can't do that. You're right, you're right.
So
You're
what
right.
do we have to do?
You can't, one person can talk to another person. You can't have 3 people, so you're right.
so comments going back to you are fine.
Okay, back to you. Okay.
And when do you want that by?
Pardon me?
When do you want that by?
Well, we need to have something, I would like to have let's discuss this in detail so we can, at the next one, so we could probably get it out, because we're gonna need to talk about that, and we'll talk about that in a minute, on how we want to present this. But it would be nice to come back with a completed survey based on everybody's input for us to discuss and approve, and then go forward and distribute it. All right, so that would be the October meeting. Okay?
What's the
Is that
October date?
reasonable?
I think it's the first.
Okay, so we should have that back on.
You need to probably have it.
Well, I gotta get it.
You gotta, she has to have that in the, so you would need it, Tracy needs, she needs it by Tuesday afternoon,
September 20th. And we
So-
said we should get it to you sooner.
so I would say a couple of days sooner.
Couple of days.
So I would
As
say,
soon
I would
as
say
soon
the
as you can
Friday,
get it to me
I
would
was
be
thinking
awesome.
September 20th.
Yeah.
September
It's
20th,
It's
okay.
September 20th, bye.
Okay.
Because it's gonna
Okay.
take a while for us to get it back together.
now,
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 5 p.m. No, okay. End of the day.
Here we,
okay, so let's, real quick here, I'm gonna throw out the discussion on the survey, because we need to talk about that and how to be distributed. We set it in here that we would put it in all the media that we could, which is the Gazette, the Happenings, the Mirror, a link that's gonna be on the comprehensive plan webpage. There would be a link, we could hit the Eastern Shore Post up, the Eastern Shore News up, put it in, a link to that page. It can be distributed to businesses. My recommendation is that we give the restaurants, including bakeries, some of them there, and give them a box that they can put it in, and they can fill it out over there and drop it in the box. This is what happened with the survey that Main Street did for the branding. But we would like to probably come up with at least 200 responses. All right. Any other ways that we can distribute this? We could, I mean, there is a possibility, but this, if you went with it like it is now, front and back, that's 3 pages. You could probably get by putting it in the utility, the water bill, but that's too much.
Yeah, this is a big insert.
So, you know, and emails, the town doesn't have email, so, I mean, we can put it on their Facebook page. We can ask people to share it on Facebook, like Main Street, New Root Sheath Garden, Rotary, the civic organizations to share this. All it has to do is be a link, again, to the town site where it actually will reside.
Would this system actually count for you, or no? That would just be.
No, the only way that you can do that if you send it out by SurveyMonkey.
Right.
I'm not sure about MailChimp, but SurveyMonkey.
That's a pretty good site.
Yeah, but you see, if you have a hand one here, it's got to be inputted somehow. Yeah. So, but that's, you know.
Well, I'm just asking, somebody
Yeah.
could end up with 200 of these and say, okay, we'll take the first one. Putting it to a master, that becomes very cumbersome.
I mean, I think it's doable though. Me and Tracy
To
can.
keep with the survey monkey and those types, you've got to either have an email address or
That's
phone
the thing,
number
that's the thing.
that you get, and you can
Right.
send it via text.
Right.
So then the question is, do we have that? kind of
Well, we
data?
do.
No, then-
Well, there are. I can tell you that Cape Charles Main Street has several hundred email addresses. I don't know of any other organization. Now, the Happenings, they send theirs out by email, so, I mean, that is a way to do it that way as well, okay? So, I mean, you can answer it by email, so, I mean,
And these are totally anonymous?
well, you know, I think we ought to put somebody's, I think we need to have a name on it, because I hate to have somebody say, well, if it's anonymous, I'm gonna stack the deck here and just hit my pet peeve kind of thing. That's Bill Scram talking, but that's.
You're the chair of the board, so you should probably have your,
I
I mean, really.
I don't care. I mean, you know,
Well,
he says
I mean-
anonymous. I mean, like, when you respond, you should have somebody should have their name, you know.
So if I'm in Virginia Beach and I don't circle
That's
anything under residency, then I can still fill this out and submit it in?
Sure,
and be considered?
absolutely, absolutely. And we want tourists, and we want
Or developers?
or
and that's-
part-times, yeah, I mean, you know, everybody. We
Let me
need-
ask this question. So we're asking what the residency is, and then we're asking all these other questions. Are we then going to split it out by the residency to see, okay, if you live here full-time, what is it that you find most important? If you are a tourist, what do you think is most important? Because if we add it all together, what's it going to tell us if we don't know who's saying it?
Well, we'll have that information. I mean, we can sort it that way. You can sort it that way,
Yeah, I think we need to.
so.
Yeah, we'll have options.
No,
We'll have
you can
that.
sort, you can sort.
Okay.
What about the Main Street? I know they did like the Festive Fridays.
Okay, so that's part of the thing. There are two other documents that I would like you all to have. One is the market survey that's done by Arnett and Alderlow for Main Street. If you need a copy, the town has a copy. I don't know if it's on the Main Street website, on the town thing, but I can send that to everybody here. It's a PDF file.
Okay.
And it's got demographics, you know, it's a great read, all right? So that can at least get you in a framework of, and this was done, and it tells you in there, this was done during Festive Fridays. Now, as part of that effort, they were supposed to hit a different type of clientele this summer, and they did a zip code survey to add to that. So, but again, it's got some great information. So I will send that out.
But it also must have had gaps in places that this is going to be addressing, because other places already addressed stuff.
Now-
It's not duplicated.
Now, the other one is a there was a branding survey that was done where they did. That's the one that they took and they put it to all the restaurants, and they ended up getting about 185 responses back on the town.
To all the restaurants?
Not through all the restaurants. They had people. They did a email. They sent it out to email to everybody that they had email addresses for, and then they sent it, put it over there because they wanted tourists, they wanted part-time, they wanted vacationers, they wanted them to answer it too. That's available. I can send you that as well, all right? So that's
Each shop owner in town has their own email list. I mean, everybody that comes in.
I know that. So that we, and Cape Charles Main Street has
Everything.
every business owner's email address, all right? So that's not a problem. So this will go, I'm sure we'll eventually get it that way, all right? So that was the survey. So thank you, Sandra, for with the group, getting together and doing that. She had some great input from folks. Thanks Tracy for your detailed work on this thing and putting that out there. That's great. I mean, you can see that there was, every one of the groups had certain things and that stuck out, and that's great. And it kind of goes to what we like. So the
When
survey,
do we want this community survey to go out?
right after we vote on it. So, I mean,
So,
we need to get it out. So,
October, November?
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want to have it in a really, really bad time, like in January because we need to get some action here. I mean, the best time would have been the summer, but we're past that. Okay. So, that's the survey. Now, the other thing that was asked was, and I got the outline to everybody, all right? Now, if you look at your packet, it says phase 1 task and responsible parties are listed in italics. Includes the following: review existing plans, issues, and regulations, craft a vision statement for Cape Charles. That's the planning commission. The first one I mentioned, review existing plans, issues, and regulations, is all that means the planning commission and staff and anybody else. Develop comprehensive plan scope, outline, staff and planning commission, and draft goals for scope topic areas. That's the planning commission. All right. So I know how hard it is here, so please, and I'm adding stakeholder meetings. It's not there, but it's on our task. We have to have stakeholder meetings. So I've got those 4 tasks there, and the stakeholder meetings. I broke it out, and I gave responsibility to 2 people on the commission to work that out, and you can have anybody else that you want, all right? So,
Well, we tried it out. Say, go ahead.
The stakeholder meeting?
for the 4 bullets there,
Okay.
and plus the stakeholder meeting, because we gotta have that, and so it's going to take some responsibility to get that organized and find the appropriate stakeholders. By the way, that was one of the questions that we asked in the thing, and we got a lot of responses there. So, so anyway, so I broke this out. So I will start at the very top, review existing plans, issues, and regulations. Everybody's going to be responsible for that, okay? I mean, we're all responsible on our own accord to do that, so.
Are you going to let us know specifically what that is?
Well, we got
Systematic issues and regulations?
yeah, Zach put together a comprehensive list. I couldn't find that anywhere unless it was in one of the, but I don't have a hard copy of it. And
Yeah, and so I can email it to you, and it will, or to all Bill, and it will have links as well
Right.
to some of the plans.
Okay.
So what it says is everything we need to look at.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's a
I mean, it would
lot.
take you 2 months to read all that stuff,
Yeah.
okay? But,
How much time are you giving us?
well, these are the tasks, all right?
Okay.
And you can see the phase 1 outputs, and we're supposed to, include the 4 items: analysis of existing plans and needs, a survey summary, plan outline and conception report, and visions and goals. And that's due, we're supposed to have this finished by the March, all right?
Okay, all right.
All right? So,
Are we planning on having extra meetings?
we can discuss that. All right. So, the draft goals for scope topic areas. is true.
Okay, so which item am I looking at? Bullets and numbers or what?
Draft goals for scope and topic areas, that's the fourth bullet. Okay? The comp plan scope and outline, since Mike was the one that talked about the outline, I've got Mike and Sandra on that. The stakeholders meetings, I have Diane and Jim. And the vision statement will be me. And I didn't have anybody with me, but I would like somebody that, we have a vision statement that's in the current comp plan, you know, which is a good vision statement, but, you know, maybe be
I can do
updated.
that.
You want to?
I would
Okay.
like to do that, yes.
Okay, so that's Bill and Diane. All right?
Now, is that gonna be subject to change based on the public input?
Yeah.
Is that gonna be a draft out
Could be.
there and say,
For
do
what?
people like that, the division statement?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
all right.
yep, yep, yep. Because if you look at for next phase, which is the plan development, we still have more stakeholder meetings. We have a focus workshop. Matter of fact, we have 2 focus workshops, so, you know, that's where we're gonna have, hey, this is, you know, here are our draft goals, here's our draft vision statement, and whatnot, all right? And so, I misspoke. We're supposed to be, this first phase is supposed to end in February, so.
At the end of February.
End of February, and the next one starts in March. So, any questions on that?
Outline and what were you saying? Sam, I should work on?
You have the develop a comprehensive plan, scope and outline.
All right. Again, what we're doing is we are updating the existing plan,
Right.
but I have not heard the existing plan ever mentioned, and so the way I think about it is, if the vision statement needs updating, then we're going to start with that current vision statement and says,
Yep.
this needs to be approved, and the goals of everything else come off of the current plan, right? We don't just start from scratch making a brand new plan. and call it-
That's correct. That's
Okay,
basically
so I know
correct.
that's the
Yeah.
point of the task.
That's
Okay.
basically correct, but again,
What's the one I'm gonna be finished?
you got all the others, you got all these other ones that I threw in there, and you've got
Send the email to us
a wealth of,
and cut from
Yes,
that.
but always you can
Makes
say,
sense for-
you can use the current one
You
for
think it's
a
something else?
departure, and say, this is.
that's right, absolutely, absolutely.
I spent 5 today.
As far as we know, there's nothing wrong with the current. I mean, we haven't said that it's.
Well, we know it's a
We don't
little
have to talk
outdated.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a reminder
In terms of
right 2
making
weeks,
decisions.
follow, just
Right.
Okay.
make sure I don't forget about it, because I don't have a pen ready.
So Bill, you've looked at a lot of these, and does it
No, I
seem,
got this.
having looked at them, that it's better that they be more specific and longer or shorter and broader?
They're all over the place.
Yeah, they are. You know, and see, and I had, for example, Paul has brought some good ideas, not only to the planning commission, but to town council. So, and you all should have a copy of his, I sent it to everybody, his SMART,
Strengths, weaknesses.
strength,
Right.
weaknesses.
Yeah.
And he did that, as part of his training as planning commissioner. He took their current comp plan and he did that. So that is a good document right there for outlines, for goals. And the reason I put Paul on there for the goals is because he has an insight to the town council that we don't. So we got, they've got their strategic planning piece that they did. They have the CIP. So, I mean, so I try to look at everybody's, in knowing everybody here, and I figured this was a good fit, so, all right.
So would you say stakeholder meetings should be a little further down the road? Is it
No,
going to be
I mean,
stakeholder
you could-
meetings
we-
based on
we
what
could
we're
do-
coming up with?
We could, it could be you could wait till the survey is done to have the stakeholder meetings, but I think we have enough information that we could ask the stakeholders. You just got to come up with questions to ask the stakeholders, and you ask them, and you've got to arrange, you got to arrange who are the major stakeholders here in the town, okay? And we have all, that was one of the questions. There's a lot of, basically covers everything, all right? I will say one thing, and we need input from everybody in this town, all right? And so I'm going to give you 2 names to reach out to, and that's Diana Davis,
Diane Davis, my neighbor.
or that's why I have a brain fart here. It's Grace funeral. Help me out. Tom Godwin.
You want
Okay.
Tom Godwin, okay.
Tom Godwin was a stakeholder from Main Street.
Yeah.
But Diana Davis has a good touch.
Diane.
Diana's Church Davis. Yeah,
Same name.
Diana. All right,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
All right, so I guess now the question is, I don't see that we need to have another meeting this month, but I think coming in October, we're going to probably end up having 2 meetings then. And November's going to probably be bad because of the holiday and whatnot. However, our alternate day is the 3rd Monday of the month. And the 3rd Monday in November would be Monday probably, maybe even a week before Thanksgiving. I don't know, not the Monday before Thanksgiving. But anyway,
18.
so I mean that's doable. So it's up to us as a board here to make that determination based on where we stand.
If we're going to be going over all the existing regulations and regulations, and it's a lot of stuff, I'd rather not read it all and then get together. I'd rather pick something, read it, get together. Pick something, read it, get together.
You have to be familiar with our current comp plan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You need to read the regulation that requires the comp plan to make sure that we have the right things in it. For example, there has to be a section, it's mandatory to have a transportation section. And I will tell you, our comp plan transportation section is not good, all right? It's not as good as it could be. There's supposed to be something on affordable housing, all right? And that, now even the people from DHCD who are, those people, the gurus, they don't like that word. They like workforce housing. And Paul is doing this. Have you met with those guys since then? Since not recent though. Okay, so that's another piece. And there's future land use has to be in there. But I think those are the mandatory. Those are the mandatory things that have to be in there. All right. Please take a look at that. It's section 82, 22 or something like that. just go on Google or anything and put down Virginia comprehensive plan, and it'll get you there.
It's in the previous step.
So this is a requirement of the state, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
To update it every 5 years.
Well,
Update.
But I mean, it tells you specifically.
to review it every 5 years.
To review it.
Review it. You can review it and make no changes and say it's good because we haven't had any changes. But it's good.
Because we have stuff about the
And
railroad.
there are some big cities right now that haven't even updated their comp plans in 10 years or more.
But when we went to school, you and I went to school with the planning commission, they tried to impress on us that smaller was better. That some of these comprehensive
Right.
plans were huge.
Huge, I mean, and you know, and again, it's for the community, and you want it to have interest and not just sit on a shelf somewhere.
And another big thing about the comp plan is like that's where you're gonna get your zoning ordinances and things. It's gonna drive what we're doing with parking and what we're doing with all that.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
it needs
thought the major use of it was so that any application that comes in basically is in accord with that plan, you know.
Any application for any
Yeah,
board
be
for any
for
reason.
conditional use permits, for
Yes.
historical review
I
board,
agree.
anything, you know, so the plan isn't so detailed, but basically you know if it's following the flow of the plan.
And that's a big thing with the land use as well. Like,
Yeah.
what we want to see in the railroad area,
Yeah.
the R1 or the historic district.
And there's our comp plan is good. I mean, I went back and looked at it when we were doing the questions, saying, well, look, it's right there.
Yeah.
But in the package,
Just
that we
it may not be arranged right. You know, you gotta
Well,
look
and
at
I do not like the arrangement.
the arrangement.
Right.
The arrangement also how to engage the community to look at it.
Right.
Because if it's just all text,
Right,
people are gonna bark all over it.
right.
Well, wait a minute now, okay, that's fine, but now, why is that important?
Because you want engagement.
Well, you definitely have Main Street, you want to have people engaged, but is this the document that you want to use to do it?
There's nothing that says that you can't, I mean,
Go ahead.
you can ask anybody that's English or major or anything that says, you know, a page after page after page are just written stuff. People get, you need to break it up. Either maps, graphs, pictures, something. I mean, enliven it.
Yeah,
That's
but the
what-
planner needs it most, one of the, really,
I know, I'll put you
Well,
on.
I know.
I don't totally agree with you on that. If you have a comp plan and you have a vision with your comp plan, then if somebody comes before the Historic District Review Board, they have to meet your vision.
No,
No?
they have to meet your guidelines,
Yeah, the
which
guidelines.
should be then revised
Okay.
to be in
Okay,
accordance, or
fine.
your ordinance,
Right.
or whatever. That, the comp plan is just sitting there.
You're right.
The ordinance is the thing that you fulfill
Yes.
and measure it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
However, though,
Much.
with rezonings and things like that, that's where your comp plan and land use is gonna come into play. So, that's really important.
You know, just as an example, Northampton County has been, now it's been 7 years?
Yeah.
7 years, maybe longer, that they haven't had, that they've been trying to do their rewrite. I mean, even when we were doing our last comp plan, they were in the process of doing theirs, and we specifically went to them and said, our historic district gateway, if you will, we want to have a say about that. As a matter of fact, we said we wanted it to have a say 1 mile in either direction out on 13. And we went around and around. One time they said, no, we're not going to, that's not going to happen, you know. And that was one of the things that got a lot of people ticked off. But I'm saying, so we have to look at it. I mean, we're very unique in that we only really have one entrance to this town, one main entrance.
Yeah, we've got a scope and schedule, and by February 2020, we better darn well be finished with our background and vision, at least in draft form, so that we can move on to these other things and not get bogged down in very interesting and worthwhile things. And we've got to use some prioritization here.
In our package today, the office did a really
Yeah,
good,
Tracy did a great job.
great job from the kickoff. She outlined everything, so it'll help with the survey. If you look at this is what everybody was really concerned about.
You can tell, since it's really small text, because if
I know.
I
I got
change it to PDF, it didn't work with changing it to PDF, just the formatting. So, but it's on our website, that you can download the Excel spreadsheet and you can read it there.
But it's really, it's well done.
And is this from the meeting we had?
Oh,
meetings you had?
From this.
From the,
Yeah, the kickoff, yeah, I did, so this is a kickoff workshop, okay.
it's got a request.
Yes.
And
I
there was
think we
a
should
few
come up
other
with
things in it that was
a
really
good name for a comprehensive plan instead of just a comprehensive plan.
A name.
A name like, you know, vision, I don't know, like
Vision
Vision
2020
or
or-
something cool, yeah. Like if you Google like comp plans, they all have like cool names. I think it'd be a good like way to, I don't know,
All
we
right.
can maybe engage the community with it, through the survey or something, I don't know. So
All right.
I'm just saying, like the.
I think the way to engage the community is to come up with some things that everybody's gonna be furious about, and get them here.
There you go. Say site, we're actually gonna do.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden we get Rotten Tomato scores.
I got the port of Cape Charles, how does that sound?
Are there any questions, concerns? Clear on this? I mean, and please, if you, like Sandra did with the survey, if you have friends, get them engaged if you want, as part of this. I mean, we've done a good job recently in the last year of working together with other folks. So, you know, if you know somebody that's on one of the other boards, or somebody that has an interest, try to engage them, the work, help. Right?
To think that we got how many people out for this was the
50.
first time it ever happened in
50.
town.
That was a shocker.
Yeah.
So,
So I think people are interested. And the more I talk to people, oh, okay, the comprehensive. Yeah. So if it had a name,
and
or
it's,
nickname.
if you,
that's
it's your,
good.
it's, you know, it's their future, it's the town's future, and that's what you're striving.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, anything else? Okay, great, appreciate it. 6C, conditional use permit to convert an existing two-story detached garage to a garage on the first floor and an accessory dwelling unit on the second floor at 9 Park Road. Set the public hearing date. So, this is in fact on Park Road. And the town has looked at it and said it looks in order. And I think he has proposed project meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance, and staff recommends the planning commission set a public hearing date on October 1st for this item. Are there any discussions on this? I guess this guy's in the military now. And I guess it says that they said that they may even live in this place eventually or whatever and rent out their house or whatever, so. It's fairly new, it's fairly new, isn't it?
Yes,
Listening, I don't know what
it is.
That building was built in the last 5 years.
No,
You
we
mean
have 3.
The house,
Yeah, the house itself.
and the garage.
Yeah.
Discussion?
Are we discussing whether or not to have it at a public hearing, or are we discussing the actual application?
I've done it before.
Well, the application is, according to the town planner, everything is okay with the application. It meets everything, all the requirements of the zoning ordinance. So, I mean, do you have a question on the application?
On accessory dwelling units, does it require off-street parking?
Yep.
It does. Okay, and so I'm looking at this and we have 2 garages. But then, is the excess parking on the ground to the right or left? Or are we considering that the space in front of the
In
garage?
front of the garage.
So you mean you could put 2 cars in the garage and then 2 in front?
You could.
I just noticed when I was out there looking at it that the apron for the driveway extends far beyond the right side of the garage.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
just wondering if they were gonna make that.
Well, how does he get to in front of the garage?
There is an apron there too.
Yeah, there is.
But that's not his property.
Yeah, it is.
That apron over on the left,
Oh.
No, oh, no, not on the left, on the right.
that shed is not his property.
No.
What?
That's another lot.
Which shed?
He doesn't have room on
Yeah,
either
there's-
side of his garage to go around that garage to go in front of it without going on somebody else's property.
He's got 5 feet. separate.
5 feet on both sides, right?
So that shed is not on his property.
No, it's on the next, that's adjoining property. So, but there's nothing that says that you can't park on the street.
Well, you just have to provide off-street parking if you're gonna have an accessory dwelling. I think it's 1 space per.
One space per bedroom.
Possibly, yeah.
Yes, it's 1 space per bedroom.
Yeah, which they're providing.
Right.
Yeah, 1 space per accessory dwelling unit. Otherwise, 1 space per accessory dwelling unit bedroom. Oh, that's what it says. So it says 1 space per accessory dwelling unit minimum. Otherwise, 1 space per accessory dwelling unit bedroom.
So if you had 2 bedrooms, you have to have 2 spaces.
Oh, I see, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
But the residence itself doesn't have to have on-site parking.
technically it does. It has to have 1 space per, or I think it's 1 space. Yeah, our ordinance does specifically state that single-family residences have to have off-street parking.
It does? Since when?
It's always said that. So,
Oh, good. I don't have it.
well, yeah, and that's the thing is, that means every new home would basically have to go for a variance, so it's been loosely regulated in the historic district, but we're proposing to change that within the historic district, it wouldn't be required, it's one of our proposals. In these
Is it
ordinances.
conforming or non-conforming that would not have to have parking?
This meets the zoning ordinance.
No, I know, but I'm laughing about this.
Yeah.
I guess, okay, so what I guess what I'm asking then would be, they would need a space for the accessory dwelling unit and 1 space for the main
I
residence.
believe it's 1 space, yeah.
So the 2 parking spaces in front of the garage plus the garage is plenty
Yes.
for both the accessory dwelling unit and the unit itself. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions, discussion?
I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing of October 1st for this particular applicant.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good. Any other business?
I do have other business.
Yes.
So there's I guess this is under announcements.
No other announcements.
So I believe it's this upcoming, or next Monday, is gonna be Northampton County's kickoff, yeah.
Notice that, yeah, there is Northampton by district, for every district next Monday, they're doing a workshop, just like we did.
Like the Methodist.
Yeah, here, for this district, we're in District 1, it's at Trinity.
Oh, it's a Trinity.
Trinity Methodist Hall. And they're doing it at the same time all over the county for every district.
Yeah, 7 o'clock, I believe.
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
But
I'll be in
just double
Scotland.
check.
I'll be in Scotland or something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's next Monday, right?
I believe so. I would double check on it. 'Cause
So,
I didn't figure
you
out
know,
where that. I just realized.
It probably would be a good idea to go there. I'm
Yeah.
sure that place will be pretty crowded, so.
And if it's like, however many years ago, there's butcher paper up there, but I do remember one of the suggestions was a farmer's market, and I guess a lot more than that suggestion took place, but, you know, when you make a suggestion, you see something, and say, oh, well, maybe people do listen and respond to what you say. So, yeah, it's worth going and expressing yourself.
I have another one.
Go ahead.
So I've been working, so again, the Eastern Shore Healthy Communities, so there is a Virginia Walkability Action Institute grant through VDH, VHD, Virginia Department.
DHCD?
No, it's VDH. Anyway, no matter what the acronym is. And there's an opportunity through, it was a training grant, so I went to Richmond for training, and it was all about walkability. And you create, as a group, the Eastern Shore had a group of 5 people. We created an action plan. One of the two, one was specifically Parsley, but the other one was working on Rails to Trails. So just kind of piggybacking off of what would have happened if the funding came through. But through that, you can have, there's these mini grants that they're allowing for that have to do with one of those action plans, and we're going to take the Rails and Trails action plan. And it's loosely interpreted that because it would have all connected, but the Washington Avenue Trail is technically going to be an extension of the initial Railroad Trail once it's built. So our idea was to provide 2 bus stops, because there's 2 bus stops there, one by Seabreeze and one, I guess it's Beach maybe, or,
I think there's one there now.
yeah, there's no bus shelters, so 2
No,
bus
right,
shelters
right.
that Star Transit would provide, but the town has to pay, I think, $400 in installation, which the grant would cover. And then on top of that, the possibility of street trees in between the landscape strip of the community trail and the road. So I've talked to a lot of people about that. It'd be 48 trees total is what we would apply for. And they would be willow oak trees. We've talked to Grouter High, I've talked to Bay Creek, Laurel Lambert,
Very nice.
talked to Bob Panic, Larry, and all those. And PDC is working with me on it as well. But I just have to figure out if there's water lines under there and what the impact might be with anything underneath the surface.
Willow Oaks,
Willow oaks.
that's pretty big.
Up to
Those-
48 willow oaks?
Those can grow pretty big.
Yes, they
Yeah, they
can.
grow tall, yeah, 50 feet.
Matter of fact, if you go over actually on the Willow Oak Drive in Eastwood,
Yeah.
it's the biggest one in the United States.
Yeah, I know,
Is that what you have to use?
it's not what we have to do.
Because we do have a Tree City group that is starting to formulate, and we love it if we could get them to get.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, the thing with it is there's a timeline, like the end of September, so we gotta move quickly. It's not like let's get the community involved kind of thing.
So I have a very, I guess, easy question. If you put a tree between the street and the sidewalk, if it's one that grows very large roots, it's going to impact not only the street, but the sidewalk.
Yes.
So my question is, does that kind of tree generate and pop up sidewalks like a maple or some oaks do?
So that's the reasoning for the willow oak tree.
Okay.
And
It's a
why
good
a large
solution.
tree? Why not a medium tree?
The goal, so we discussed, I reached out to landscape or we actually reached out to a few different landscape companies, and they recommended, and Broward Height is our kind of consultant with the town, they recommended willow oak. They're professionals, they provided street trees before, including willow oaks, and they're actually on Fig if you're going towards Bay Creek or towards Oyster Farm. On that right side are willow oaks. So, and they look good, and they're to provide shade, because there's no shade along that road. I don't know, in the building of that trail, I don't know who was really behind that, but
Did they tell you how they want to plant them on centers?
it would be, so there's light posts, which are 90 to 100 feet, and there will be 2 trees between each light post respectively, which is, yeah, which is actually really, it's actually, you could probably fit 3 pretty easily. Trust me, I've been out there, I've done the research, like, I mean,
Okay.
You gotta look at it, the underground pipe.
exactly, that's the only thing that that I haven't looked at yet.
And I guess the question is, why wouldn't you do it on the other side of the sidewalk?
Because
You got pine over there, but
that's the whole purpose of this, is the sun is coming from the southwest rather than the northeast. So those trees there don't provide any shade. And Larry, even this weekend, made it a point to actually kind of watch and see people using the trail, and he said more than not, don't use the trail. They're actually just walking or biking or whatever on Washington Avenue with this $1 million trail just sitting
yeah,
there.
but that's not because of shade.
Yeah.
I believe, I would highly say, I would bet money on it that some of it has to do with shade.
Well, if you're on the street, you're not getting shade either, but. I'm
Well,
just
possibly
guessing.
on the southern side where there are trees and the houses are blocking the shade.
Not a whole lot of trees.
Yeah, but there's
Not a whole lot,
buildings there.
maybe on the west side.
You just, I recommend you going out there and looking.
Yeah.
Just do it, trust me, like, it's a big difference.
Okay. All
But
right,
anyway, it's just,
so you're gonna try to get that through a grant?
yes.
Okay. All right.
If the highway goes. Yeah.
You know,
It's all new.
Yeah.
do you know that there's a block of money? We are in a opportunity zone, right? You know what an opportunity zone is? Okay, we are in an opportunity zone area, which is basically a low income, lower half of the shore up to maybe Eastville is this opportunity zone, and there's a block of money sitting there at the state that's available for somebody that would want to come in and just to get a grant, you know, I mean,
To do what?
to do a study, to say, like, what do you want to, if you want to try to do like workforce housing?
Yeah, it's business related.
It's business related. What it does is it gives the opportunity for a business to come in here, and basically they get tax credits. They get credits off their taxes to come in here and do that. Plus they get paid, but I mean, that's the big thing. It's a big tax credit thing. So that's just like, you know, there's a work, you can call it workforce housing or stuff. The same thing. Nobody wants to do workforce housing because they can build all this good stuff unless you get some sort of credits. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of people would like to do this and all will make condos out of them. You can't get the credits unless they're apartments. But for a certain amount of years, okay? But anyway, this opportunity zone has money there and nobody's using it. And they're trying to get people to use it. So I would encourage you to check that out. That could get somebody, some interested party to come in here. We've been talking about workforce workforce housing, that would be great, because, you know, you keep hearing people say, well, if I wanted to build something big here, where am I gonna get the people, first of all, and where am I gonna put them? Where are they gonna stay? You know, so.
I'll just say that the county has a housing summit or whatever in like 2 weeks that Coker and I were going to,
That's a county thing?
at a county level, yeah. I think.
Oh, it's all counties or something?
No, just
Just
Northampton,
Northampton?
and maybe sponsored by, it may be Accomack and Northampton, I forget the scope, but it's to talk housing again.
Specifically workforce housing or just housing in general?
I think all the above.
Because you see, when they do their comp plan, they gotta do the same thing with workforce housing. They gotta do it, you know, same thing. So,
When you talk about workforce housing, are we talking about inexpensive housing or just having housing?
inexpensive, I mean, you're talking about something that, like, new teachers, your EMS, police officers, firefighters,
Livable wage housing.
yeah, livable servers,
Exactly.
you know, the servers and bartenders and stuff. I mean,
Would it be a yearly rental or would it be
could be,
seasonal rental?
it could be,
Yes.
it could be, yeah, it could be monthly, you know, you know, we thought that those apartments out there that are going in on,
Who gets rooms?
OK Charles Road, you know, they're 2-bedroom, got granite, you know, and stainless steel.
The way the developers go, if it's market driven and they have deep pockets, they'll come in and build whatever they're gonna build. However, if they're anxious to get something, a toehold, like the railroad area, and is going to have to borrow money, then they start dipping into the opportunity zone and all that have stipulations on X%, depending on how much you borrow, X% is going to have to be affordable. So, and there's hooks that way.
No, there are.
Who's providing those hooks?
Well, the state is through incentives, but the town can also provide, if you're wealthy enough, you can provide those incentives as well. Or let's say the incentive would be, instead of you paying your $12,000 per unit utility hookup fee, we'll let you go for those 4 units or 16 units. The town will absorb that and make sure you have 25% affordable. But let me tell you, that comes with a whole bunch of regulations and accounting in order to hold that and report at a state level. So it's not easy.
I'm wondering if it's reasonable to expect that we could do that. I mean, considering what you're saying.
There are communities that are doing that. Believe it or not, Lynchburg is, they're doing a pretty good job with that. I went there and saw some of that stuff. They're taking all these old factories and textile factories, tobacco factories and stuff like that, and they're renovating them. And as part of that, and they're getting all these incentives from the state to do that. But again, like Paul said, they have to set aside everything in there had to be, in order to do that, they had to all be apartments. They had to be a certain price range, and
You create a commission that oversees it.
yeah.
Right, and that's why I'm wondering, is it reasonable, if we're gonna have to have a commission to oversee it, we're gonna have all kinds of
But
enforcement of it.
so
Today, I was just told that the new president of the college, Jim Schaefer, he was a professor at ODU, and his big thing was workforce development. So he might be another individual to get in touch
Oh,
with.
it's all across, our state is no different from
Right, so I
tons of
mean,
others, it's just, it's tough to come, some are taxing the businesses and saying, you won't work for us, we're gonna charge you X, put it into a fund through the town or city, and then use that as development. So there's a lot of things out there that can be done. The question is, you have a stomach for it, and
Yeah.
we'll take that on.
Anything else? We have a motion? Yes.
For those of you who don't know, I'm a certification officer, finance officer for the Coast Guard. I certify my annual funds October 1st. So I may not be here right at 6 o'clock, okay? Depending on when I finish my last account and when I can leave to be here. So there's a possibility I may be late. but
I
I'll-
understand,
Okay.
I understand.
You realize we're gonna forget that October 1st. Where is Jim?
All right. We have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, sir.